Welcome to the multiverse of anime. If you enjoy exploring alternate realities where heroes fall and villains rise, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our channel for more mind-bending stories. Picture this. The Earth trembles beneath the weight of an impossible power. Cities crumble not from alien invasions, but from training sessions that reshape continents. In the sky above, two figures clash with such force that reality itself begins to crack. But this isn't the story you know. This isn't the gentle Goku fighting to protect his loved ones. This is Kakarot, the perfect Saiyan warrior, and his crimson aura burns with the pride of a conquered race seeking vengeance against the universe itself. Watch as energy blasts tear through the atmosphere, each one powerful enough to split planets. The legendary Super Saiyan transformation you thought you knew becomes something far more terrifying when fueled not by love and protection, but by pure Saiyan conquest instinct. Golden hair whips and cosmic winds as red eyes survey a world that kneels before absolute power. But how did we get here? How did Earth's greatest protector become its most ruthless ruler? The answer lies in a single moment that changed everything. A crash landing that should never have happened. A father who should have died with his planet. A training that replaced gentle wisdom with warrior's brutality. One choice that transformed a pure heart into an engine of domination. In the wasteland that was once West City, Vegeta the Saiyan Prince kneels in submission, his royal pride shattered, his legendary power reduced to nothing before a low-class warrior who has transcended every limit. But this isn't defeat born of friendship and growth. This is conquest, pure and simple. The natural order of Saiyan hierarchy restored through overwhelming force. Chi-Chi lies motionless in the ruins of what was once their home, her gentle dreams of a peaceful family destroyed by the very man she planned to marry. Her dying breath carries a single word that echoes across the battlefield like a prayer for the soul that once existed. Goku, a name that no longer has meaning in this reality. Children who should be playing in schoolyards instead train in gravity chambers that would crush normal humans instantly. Their laughter replaced by the grim determination of young warriors being forged for galactic conquest. The Turtle School of Martial Arts burns in the background, its peaceful philosophy reduced to ash and memory. Master Roshi, the legendary turtle hermit who guided so many heroes, crawls through rubble with broken ribs and shattered hope. The student he trained to protect the innocent now stands above him like a god of war, demanding submission or death. The choice is simple, the outcome inevitable. But the most terrifying sight of all stands silently in the shadows, a figure whose very presence radiates malevolent satisfaction. BARDOCK, the legendary Super Saiyan, alive when he should be dead, proud where he should be remorseful. His son has become everything he dreamed, the perfect warrior, the ultimate Saiyan, the destroyer of weakness in all its forms. Frieza himself, the Emperor of the Universe, trembles in his final form as he faces not one but two legendary Super Saiyans, whose power levels break every scanner in existence. His confident smirk becomes desperate fear as crimson and gold auras merge into something that defies comprehension. This is what happens when Saiyan pride is unleashed without the gentle restraint of an earth-raised heart. The planet's magnetic field shifts under the pressure of their combined ki. Satellites fall from orbit. The moon cracks like an eggshell. Weather patterns collapse as energy signatures rewrite the laws of physics themselves. This isn't just a battle. This is the birth of a new cosmic order where might makes right and mercy is weakness. In hidden bunkers across the globe, the surviving Z-fighters huddle in terror. Krillin weeps for a best friend who no longer recognizes his name. Tien meditates desperately, searching for any technique that might restore the gentle soul they once knew. Piccolo stares at his hands, wondering if the evil that once defined him was actually mercy compared to this righteous brutality. The Dragon Balls themselves seem to dim in the presence of such overwhelming darkness masquerading as strength. Shenron, the eternal dragon, cowers in his realm, knowing that some wishes should never be granted and some powers should never be unleashed. But here's what will haunt your dreams tonight. In a twisted fortress built from the bones of defeated cities, Kakarot sits on a throne made from the rubble of Capsule Corporation. In his hand, he holds a small orange gi, the last remnant of who he used to be. And as he stares at this symbol of his former weakness, a single tear falls down his cheek. Because somewhere deep inside the perfect Saiyan warrior, a gentle heart still beats. And that heart remembers what it felt like to protect instead of conquer. What it felt like to love instead of dominate. What it felt like to be Goku instead of Kakarot. But that heart is dying, and when it finally stops beating, the universe itself will tremble before the legendary Super Saiyan who learned that strength without compassion isn't strength at all. It's beautiful destruction. The question that will define everything is simple. Can that dying heart be saved? Or will the gentle protector be lost forever in the crimson flames of Saiyan pride? The answer begins with a crash landing that changed the fate of two worlds. This is the story of what happens when a father's love becomes a son's curse, when salvation becomes damnation, when the greatest hero becomes the perfect villain. This is the story of BARDOCK and Kakarot, and it begins now. The story begins where legends are born and heroes are forged. Planet Vegeta, the warrior world of the Saiyan race, burns under the light of a dying star. In the original timeline that you know, this is where everything ended for the proud warrior race, where Frieza's betrayal turned an entire civilization to cosmic dust, where Bardock, the legendary low-class warrior, made his final stand against impossible odds. But today, we witness something different, something that should never have happened. Bardock floats in the vacuum of space, his battle-worn armor cracked and bleeding, his ki reserves pushed beyond every limit he thought possible. Before him looms Frieza's supernova, a miniature star of pure destruction expanding toward his homeworld. In the original timeline, this is where the legendary Saiyan warrior dies, where his precognitive visions end in failure and his people face extinction. His scarred hands glow with desperate energy as another vision flashes through his mind. But this time, it's different. This time he sees not just his death, but something beyond it. A possibility, a chance, a single moment where everything could change. The vision shows him his son. Not the gentle earth-raised warrior of legend, but something else, something perfect, something terrible. Kakarot, as he was meant to be, a Super Saiyan whose power could reshape the universe itself. Bardock's eyes burn with newfound purpose. His ki explodes outward, not in a final attack against Frieza's overwhelming power, but in something far more dangerous, something that bends the laws of time itself. The space around him begins to warp. Reality fractures like broken glass as his precognitive abilities evolve beyond mere sight into actual manipulation. The fabric of time tears open, creating a rift that pulls him away from Frieza's supernova at the last possible second. Planet Vegeta dies behind him in silent fire. His people, his wife, his king, everything he ever knew becomes cosmic debris. But Bardock survives, pulled through dimensions by a power he barely understands, his consciousness scattered across time and space as he tumbles toward a distant blue world. Years pass in the void between worlds. When Bardock finally crashes on Earth, his body is broken, but his purpose remains absolute. He has seen the future. He knows what his son could become, and he will not allow Earth's weakness to corrupt the legendary warrior sleeping within Kakarot's gentle soul. Meanwhile, in the peaceful mountains of Earth, young Goku trains with a pure heart under Master Roshi's gentle guidance. Watch as he spars with Krillin, their friendship built on mutual respect and shared dreams of becoming stronger together. See how he approaches every challenge with innocent determination, never seeking to dominate, but always hoping to protect. This is the Goku you know, the one who sees good in everyone, who offers food to his enemies and turns rivals into friends through the simple power of his compassionate spirit. Every technique he learns is designed not for conquest but for defense. Every battle he fights is motivated not by pride but by love. The Kamehameha wave that flows from his palms glows with pure blue energy, reflecting the clean intention of his heart. When he transforms into the great ape, it's accidental, uncontrolled, a source of guilt rather than power. His Saiyan heritage remains dormant, suppressed by Earth's gentle influence and Grandpa Gohan's loving memory. But forces are converging that will shatter this peaceful existence forever. In the wastelands beyond civilization, Bardock emerges from his crashed space pod, like a vengeful spirit returning from the dead. His Saiyan armor is battle-scarred but functional. His power level, always formidable, has been refined by years of survival in the cosmic void. Most importantly, his resolve has been forged into something unbreakable by the weight of his visions. He has seen what happens when Saiyans are raised by weaklings. He has witnessed the potential that lies dormant in his son's gentle soul, and he will not allow Earth's pacifist philosophy to waste the greatest warrior the universe has ever produced. The tracking device in his armor, damaged but operational, leads him across continents toward the key signature that burns like a beacon in his enhanced senses. His son, his legacy, his ultimate weapon against a universe that destroyed everything he ever loved. As Bardock travels toward his destiny, the weight of his purpose crushes any doubt that might slow his steps. Jin would have wanted their son to be happy, but happiness is a luxury that extinct races cannot afford. Kakarot will learn the truth of his heritage. He will embrace the power that flows through his Saiyan blood, and together, father and son will ensure that no force in the universe will ever again catch the legendary Super Saiyan race unprepared. The collision course is set. On one side, Goku trains with friends who see strength as a tool for protection and growth as a journey shared with others. His techniques focus on defense, his power grows through discipline, and his heart remains pure through constant contact with humanity's better nature. On the other side, Bardock approaches with the cold determination of a survivor who has lost everything except the chance to forge his son into the perfect weapon. His techniques are designed for conquest, his power has been refined through suffering, and his heart has been hardened by the knowledge that gentleness leads only to extinction. Between them lies a choice that will determine the fate of not just Earth, but the entire universe. Will Kakarot remain the gentle protector who saves worlds through compassion? Or will he become the legendary Super Saiyan that his bloodline demands, a force of nature that conquers through absolute power? The answer begins with a meeting between father and son that should never have happened. The philosophical divide runs deeper than mere training methods. Master Roshi's Turtle School teaches that true strength comes from understanding oneself and protecting others. Every technique has a defensive purpose. Every power increase serves to better guard the innocent. The greatest victory is the enemy who becomes a friend. But Saiyan philosophy is carved from different stone. Strength exists to impose order. Power belongs to those with the will to seize it. The greatest victory is the enemy who kneels in absolute submission. Weakness invites destruction, so weakness must be eliminated wherever it appears. These two worldviews cannot coexist. One must triumph over the other, and when Bardock finally stands before his son, the gentle training of Earth will face the brutal efficiency of Saiyan tradition in a confrontation that will reshape reality itself. The signs are already appearing for those who know how to read them. Military satellites detect energy signatures moving across remote regions. Seismic stations register tremors that follow no natural pattern. Weather systems shift in response to key fluctuations that scientists cannot explain. Something is coming to Earth, something that will test every assumption about strength, family, and the price of power. Something that will force the gentle-hearted Goku to choose between the peaceful path he has always known and the warrior's road that flows through his very DNA. In hidden monasteries, ancient masters sense the approaching storm and begin preparing disciples for trials they hoped would never come. In government facilities, generals review files on martial artists whose power levels exceed conventional understanding. In space, automated systems begin broadcasting warnings about energy readings that suggest the impossible. But none of them understand the true nature of what approaches. This isn't an invasion or a natural disaster. This is a reckoning between two versions of the same legendary bloodline. A test of whether nurture can overcome nature when that nature was designed for conquest. The gentle boy who offers food to hungry strangers is about to meet the hardened warrior who watched his entire race burn in cosmic fire. The student who hesitates to harm even evil enemies will face the father who sees mercy as the path to extinction. And somewhere in the space between their first meeting, the fate of every living being in the universe will be decided by a choice that neither of them fully understands. The approaching storm carries with it the power to reshape worlds. The question that haunts the approaching confrontation is simple yet terrible. When the legendary Super Saiyan bloodline finally awakens to its full potential, will it create the ultimate protector or the perfect destroyer? The answer lies waiting in the mountains where a gentle-hearted boy trains with friends who believe that strength and kindness can coexist in the same soul. That belief is about to be tested in ways that will shatter everything they thought they knew about power. The moment arrives like lightning splitting a clear sky. 12-year-old Goku wipes sweat from his brow as he finishes his morning training routine with Krillin on the beach outside Kame House. The sun reflects off calm waters, and for a perfect instant, everything seems exactly as it should be in this peaceful world. Then the sky explodes. A streak of fire tears across the heavens, moving too fast for human eyes to track properly. The sonic boom that follows rattles windows across 3 islands and sends flocks of seabirds screaming into panicked flight. Whatever just entered Earth's atmosphere wasn't a meteor or satellite. It moved with purpose, controlled descent, intelligent navigation. It was a spaceship. Goku's head snaps upward, his Saiyan instincts responding to something his conscious mind doesn't yet understand. His heart begins beating faster, his muscles tense without his permission, and somewhere deep in his genetic memory, ancient warnings begin to whisper. But before he can process these strange sensations, Master Roshi emerges from his house with a troubled expression. The old hermit's key sensing abilities, refined over centuries of martial arts mastery, have detected something that makes his blood run cold. A power level approaching that defies every scale he knows. Something that makes even his legendary techniques feel like children's games by comparison. Krillin notices the tension immediately. His best friend's usual cheerful demeanor has been replaced by an alertness that seems almost predatory. Goku's eyes scan the horizon with an intensity that reminds Krillin uncomfortably of a hunting animal tracking prey. The crash site lies 50 miles inland, hidden in a mountain range where human civilization rarely ventures. For 3 days, the strange energy signature remains stationary while military forces cordon off the area and scientists attempt to understand what their instruments are detecting. But their technology cannot measure what has truly landed on Earth. Bardock emerges from his damaged space pod like death returning from beyond the grave. His Saiyan armor bears the scars of cosmic battle, cosmic radiation, and years of survival in the void between worlds. But his eyes burn with undiminished purpose as he tests his surroundings with senses evolved for survival on hostile worlds. Earth's key signature feels soft to him, gentle, weak, The dominant species radiates emotional energy instead of battle readiness. Their technology substitutes for physical prowess. Their society prioritizes comfort over strength. Everything about this world confirms his worst fears about what such an environment might do to a Saiyan child. But beneath the planetary weakness, one signature burns like a beacon of hope. Familiar, powerful, unmistakably Saiyan, despite its strange contamination with alien gentleness. His son lives. His son has grown strong. His son can still be saved from this world's corrupting influence. The tracking device in BARDOCK's armor, damaged but functional, provides precise coordinates. As he flies toward the energy signature that calls to his warrior's blood, his mind races through the training regimen that will transform his gentle son back into the legendary warrior their bloodline demands. No more defensive techniques, no more restrained sparring, no more mercy for the weak who mistake kindness for strength. Kakarot will learn what it means to be Saiyan. He will embrace the power that flows through his veins. He will become the Super Saiyan that prophecy foretold and destiny demands. The flight across Earth's surface reinforces BARDOCK's contempt for this soft world. Cities sprawl without defensive walls. Humans walk alone without weapons or bodyguards. Children play in open spaces where any predator could strike. This is not a world that breeds warriors. This is a world that creates victims. But it has also created something unexpected. As BARDOCK's enhanced senses probe deeper into his son's key signature, he detects layers of power that shouldn't exist in a Saiyan raised among weaklings. His boy has indeed grown strong, perhaps stronger than even his elite bloodline should allow. The question is whether that strength has been shaped properly or corrupted by this world's pacifist philosophies. The answer comes when BARDOCK finally arrives at Kame House and witnesses his son sparring with the small human called Krillin. What he sees fills him with rage that threatens to ignite his aura and announce his presence prematurely. Kakarot pulls his punches. He telegraphs his attacks to give his opponent time to defend. He offers openings that a proper warrior would exploit without hesitation. Worst of all, he smiles during combat, as though battle were some sort of game rather than the sacred test of dominance that separates the strong from the weak. This is not training. This is mockery of everything their race represents. But as BARDOCK watches his corrupted son waste his potential on gentle sparring, something else becomes clear. The power is there, dormant, restrained, held back by conscious choice rather than natural limitation. Kakarot has the strength to crush his sparring partner without effort, yet chooses restraint. He has the speed to end any fight before it begins, yet allows his opponent to match him. He has the killing instinct buried somewhere beneath that innocent smile, yet refuses to access it. The raw material remains perfect, only the training has been poisoned. That can be corrected. BARDOCK steps out of concealment with the silent confidence of an apex predator, finally revealing itself to prey that never suspected it was being hunted. His approach makes no sound, but both young warriors turn toward him as though summoned by instinct older than conscious thought. The family resemblance is unmistakable. Kakarot stares at this battle-scarred stranger and feels recognition stirring in genetic memories he cannot access consciously. Something about the newcomer's stance, his aura, his very presence resonates with frequencies that make Saiyan blood sing with anticipation. But it is BARDOCK who speaks first, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority earned through survival against impossible odds. "So you're my son." The words hit Goku like a physical blow. Father. The concept seems alien and familiar simultaneously. Grandpa Gohan had been his father in every way that mattered, but this stranger carries something in his bearing that speaks to deeper truths. This is family by blood rather than choice. This is the source of the power that sometimes frightens him with its intensity. "I don't understand," Goku responds with characteristic honesty. "Grandpa Gohan was my father. He found me when I was little and raised me here on Earth." BARDOCK's expression hardens. The old man had been a placeholder, nothing more. A temporary guardian who filled the role that should have belonged to a Saiyan warrior. But his influence ends now. "Gohan was a weakling who raised you to be weak," BARDOCK states with crushing finality. "I am BARDOCK, low-class warrior of the Saiyan race. You are Kakarot, my son, heir to the legendary bloodline that will reshape this universe. Your childhood ends today." Master Roshi senses the danger immediately. This newcomer's power level transcends anything in his experience, and the casual contempt in his voice suggests violence will follow swiftly if his demands are not met. The old hermit steps forward with diplomatic intentions, hoping to defuse a situation that could destroy everything he has worked to build. "Now wait just a minute," Roshi begins carefully. "Goku is my student, and he's perfectly happy with his training here. There's no need for—" The rest of his sentence dissolves in searing pain as BARDOCK's backhand sends him flying through the wall of Kame House. The casual blow, delivered without even looking at his target, demonstrates a power gap so vast that resistance seems meaningless. "Weaklings do not interrupt Saiyan family business," BARDOCK states calmly as he turns his attention back to his son. Goku's shock transforms into fury faster than anyone expects. His ki flares blue around his body as he drops into a combat stance that would make his gentle teacher proud, but there is nothing gentle about the expression on his face as he stares at the stranger who just attacked his mentor. "You hurt Master Roshi." The accusation carries more emotion than Bardock has heard from his son since the conversation began. "He's a good man who never did anything to deserve that." "He filled your head with weakness and called it training," Bardock replies without remorse. "He taught you to hold back your power instead of unleashing it. He turned a Saiyan warrior into a gentle fool who pulls his punches against inferiors. His influence on you ends now." The philosophical divide between them becomes a physical chasm as father and son face each other across ideologies that cannot coexist. Goku sees an innocent man attacked without provocation. Bardock sees a necessary elimination of corrupting influence. Both are absolutely certain they are right. Krillin, terrified but loyal, moves to stand beside his best friend. The gesture is brave beyond words and utterly meaningless against the power they face, but it serves a purpose that neither of them understands. It demonstrates to Bardock exactly how deeply his son has been contaminated by this world's weakness. Kakarot values the loyalty of inferiors. He fights to protect rather than to dominate. He shows mercy to enemies and friendship to rivals. Everything about his behavior confirms that Earth's influence has nearly destroyed the warrior potential that should define his existence. But as Bardock prepares to begin his son's true education, something in Kakarot's stance gives him pause. The boy's power level is rising beyond anything a 12-year-old should be able to access. His muscles are tensing with predatory readiness that speaks to genetics older than civilization. Most telling of all, his eyes are beginning to show flecks of red that have nothing to do with anger and everything to do with Saiyan battle instinct finally awakening. Perhaps the corruption is not as complete as it appears. Perhaps the warrior bloodline merely sleeps beneath the gentle surface, waiting for the right stimulus to emerge. Perhaps salvation is still possible. The test begins now. Bardock's aura explodes around him like golden fire as he demonstrates a fraction of his true power. The energy release flattens trees for miles, boils the ocean around Kame House, and sends every power scanner on Earth into emergency alert status. This is what Saiyan strength looks like when unrestrained. This is the legacy that flows through his son's veins. "Show me what you really are, Kakarot," Bardock commands as his power continues climbing toward levels that threaten the planet's structural integrity. "Show me the warrior beneath all this weakness. Prove that my son still exists somewhere inside the gentle fool they created." The battle that will determine everything begins with a single moment of choice. Goku must decide whether to fight at his normal restrained level or to access the deeper power that frightens him with its intensity. Whether to maintain the gentle philosophy that Master Roshi taught him, or to embrace the savage strength that whispers in his genetic memory. In that moment of decision, the fate of every living being in the universe hangs in balance. And deep in his chest, something that has been sleeping since childhood begins to stir with anticipation of finally being set free. But as the golden aura around his father reaches intensity that makes the air itself catch fire, as Krillin stumbles backward from power that transcends human understanding, as Master Roshi's broken form lies motionless in the rubble of his home, Goku makes a choice that will echo through eternity. His own ki explodes outward in response to his father's challenge, but the energy that emerges carries undertones that neither of them expected. Blue mixed with red, gentleness contaminated by rage, protection instinct enhanced by Saiyan pride. This is not the pure warrior that Bardock came to awaken. This is not the gentle protector that Master Roshi tried to preserve. This is something entirely new, something that carries the potential to transcend both philosophies while embodying the fundamental conflict between them. The first exchange between father and son splits the sky and sends shockwaves across 3 continents. Reality itself seems to hold its breath as 2 interpretations of legendary power clash with force that threatens to reshape the very concept of what strength should accomplish. And in that moment of cosmic violence, a single tear falls from Goku's eye as he realizes that his childhood, his innocence, his gentle dreams of protecting everyone he cares about are being burned away in the fires of awakening Saiyan pride. The gentle heart still beats, but something else beats alongside it now. Something that whispers of conquest rather than protection, dominance rather than service, pride rather than humility. The legendary Super Saiyan is awakening, but which version of that legend will emerge remains to be determined by choices that will reshape the fate of the universe itself. The explosion of power that follows shakes the foundations of reality itself. Goku's ki erupts around him like blue flame transformed into liquid lightning, his power levels skyrocketing beyond anything Master Roshi ever taught him to access. But it's still not enough, not even close. Bardock moves with casual brutality that makes mockery of Earth's greatest martial artists. His fist connects with his son's guard and sends the boy flying through 3 mountains before he can recover enough to stop his backward flight. The impact craters are visible from space, each one a testament to power levels that transcend planetary scale. But something magnificent happens in that moment of overwhelming defeat. As Goku pulls himself from the rubble of what used to be a mountain peak, his eyes blaze with something that has nothing to do with his gentle upbringing. For the first time in his life, he faces an opponent whose strength makes his own seem like a child's toy, and instead of fear or despair, he feels exhilaration. This is what his body was designed for. This is what his blood has been whispering about in quiet moments when he thought no one was listening. This is the test that every instinct he possesses has been preparing for since birth. BARDOCK sees the change immediately and allows himself a moment of savage satisfaction. The genetic programming runs deeper than Earth's corruption. When pushed beyond breaking point, Saiyan DNA reasserts itself over learned behavior. His son's stance shifts from defensive to predatory. His ki changes from protective blue to something with aggressive crimson undertones. Most importantly, his expression transforms from shocked concern to eager anticipation. The second exchange demonstrates the difference between trained technique and bred instinct. Goku's movements become more fluid, more economical, more lethal. His attacks stop telegraphing themselves. His defensive positions shift to counterattack opportunities. He's not fighting like Master Roshi's student anymore. He's fighting like Bardock's son. But the gap in experience and raw power remains insurmountable. Bardock has survived battles that would reduce planets to cosmic dust. He has fought opponents whose names are whispered in fear across entire galaxies. His son, no matter how naturally gifted, remains a child playing with forces beyond his comprehension. The lesson continues with methodical precision. Every technique Goku learned from the Turtle School gets systematically dismantled. The Kamehameha Wave, his signature attack, gets caught in Bardock's bare hand and redirected into the ocean with contemptuous ease. His defensive stances are broken by attacks that flow around them like water around stones. His speed, impressive by Earth standards, appears nearly motionless compared to Saiyan combat reflexes honed by survival necessity. But with each devastating counter, something else emerges from the genetic depths of Kakarot's warrior heritage. His recovery time decreases, his power output increases, his tactical awareness expands beyond anything his peaceful training should have developed. He's not just getting stronger during the fight, he's becoming more Saiyan with every exchange. Krillin watches in horror as his best friend transforms before his eyes. The gentle boy who shared meals and dreams of becoming stronger is disappearing, replaced by something that fights with increasing savagery. When Goku's elbow strike creates a sonic boom that levels the remaining forest, Krillin realizes he's witnessing the birth of something that might be more terrifying than their attacker. Master Roshi, bleeding and broken but still conscious, recognizes the true danger. Not just the overwhelming power of this mysterious Saiyan warrior, but the change occurring in his most beloved student. Goku's gentle heart, the source of his greatest strength, is being systematically destroyed by exposure to his own genetic programming. Each moment of the battle strips away another layer of Earth's civilizing influence. The tide turns when Bardock decides demonstration has accomplished enough. His son has shown adequate potential. Now comes the real education. With movements too fast for human perception, he appears behind Kakarot and strikes with precision that paralyzes without permanent damage. The boy collapses, conscious but unable to move, his nervous system temporarily overloaded by expertly applied force. "You felt it," Bardock states with satisfaction as he looks down at his fallen son. For the first time in your pathetic Earth existence, you felt what it means to be Saiyan. The hunger for battle, the joy of testing your limits against worthy opposition, the rightness of victory through superior power. Goku struggles to speak through his paralyzed vocal cords, but his eyes burn with something that wasn't there an hour ago, something that recognizes truth in his father's words despite everything his gentle upbringing tells him should be wrong. The weaklings who raised you taught you to suppress that feeling, Bardock continues, gesturing dismissively toward the broken form of Master Roshi. They convinced you that holding back was virtue, that mercy was strength, that protecting the inferior was noble purpose. They turned the legendary Super Saiyan bloodline into a guardian for sheep. The paralysis begins wearing off as Saiyan physiology adapts to the nerve disruption with supernatural speed. But instead of resuming his attack, Goku remains still, listening with fascination that terrifies him even as it thrills something deep in his genetic memory. Our race was destroyed because we forgot what we were. Bardock's voice carries the weight of cosmic tragedy. We served an inferior tyrant instead of claiming our rightful place as universe's apex predators. We followed orders instead of following our strength. We died because we had grown weak, and weakness invites extinction. The words resonate through Kakarot's consciousness like hammer blows against everything he thought he knew about himself, but they also explain things that peaceful philosophy never addressed: why he felt restless during quiet moments, why part of him enjoyed fighting more than he ever admitted, why his power seemed to have no ceiling when properly motivated. "You will not make our mistakes," Bardock declares with finality. You will learn what it means to be the legendary warrior our bloodline was designed to produce. You will embrace strength without apology, victory without mercy, power without restraint. You will become Kakarot, son of Bardock, inheritor of Saiyan destiny. Master Roshi forces himself to stand despite injuries that would hospitalize ordinary humans for months. His voice cracks with pain and desperation as he makes one final attempt to save his student's soul. Goku, don't listen to him. Strength without compassion isn't strength at all. You've always fought to protect others, not to dominate them. That's what makes you special. The interruption earns him Bardock's complete attention for the first time since their encounter began. The Saiyan warrior's ki flares with lethal intent as he prepares to eliminate this persistent source of corruption permanently. But before he can strike, something unexpected happens. Kakarot, still recovering from paralysis, forces his body to move through sheer willpower, not to attack his father, but to position himself between Bardock and Master Roshi. His stance wavers, his power level fluctuates wildly, but his intent remains absolutely clear. He will protect his teacher. Even against overwhelming odds, even against his own father, even against the genetic programming that whispers this choice is weakness. Bardock stares at his son with emotions too complex for simple analysis. Pride at the boy's courage wars with disgust at his misplaced loyalty. Admiration for his determination conflicts with contempt for his protective instincts. This is simultaneously everything he hoped to find and everything he came to destroy. You would defend the weakling who corrupted you? Bardock asks with dangerous quiet. He's not weak, Goku replies, his voice gaining strength as feeling returns to his limbs. He taught me that real strength comes from protecting people who can't protect themselves. That power should serve others, not dominate them. That being strong means being kind. The philosophical divide between them crystallizes into irreconcilable opposition. Father and son, united by blood but separated by worldview, face each other across an ideological chasm that only violence can bridge. Then you have learned nothing from our battle. Bardock concludes with resignation that carries undertones of terrible resolve. Your corruption runs deeper than I feared. Drastic measures are required. His ki explodes outward with such force that reality itself seems to buckle under the pressure. This is no longer about education or demonstration. This is about fundamental change through overwhelming trauma. If gentle methods cannot awaken his son's true nature, then perhaps witnessing absolute consequences will accomplish what words and example could not. The energy blast that follows doesn't target Goku directly. Instead, it engulfs Master Roshi in fire that burns hotter than stellar cores. The scream that emerges from the flames contains centuries of accumulated wisdom, generations of students' hopes, and a lifetime of gentle teachings all being consumed simultaneously. When the light fades, only ash remains where Earth's greatest martial arts teacher once stood. And in that moment, something inside Kakarot's gentle heart begins to die, replaced by the first stirrings of rage so pure and terrible that it makes his father's power seem like a candle flame compared to the sun. The true awakening begins now. News of the destruction spreads faster than the shockwaves themselves. Military satellites detect energy readings that exceed nuclear detonations. Seismic monitors register impacts that suggest meteor strikes. Emergency broadcasts warn of unprecedented natural disasters, but no government agency can explain readings that transcend every scale of measurement. In martial arts schools across the globe, masters pause in their training as they sense the death of someone whose key signature had been a constant presence for over 3 centuries. The turtle hermit's gentle energy, which provided guidance and hope to countless students, simply vanishes from existence. But they also detect something else, a new power rising from the ashes of that loss, something that carries familiar frequencies contaminated by rage beyond human comprehension. The student they all admired is transforming into something that makes even legendary fighters consider fleeing to the far corners of the earth. Piccolo, still recovering from his battle with Raditz, feels the surge of power from his meditation cave and opens eyes that reflect genuine fear. Whatever is happening at the sight of that energy signature threatens to overshadow even his own considerable strength. The world that seems safe under Kakarot's protection has suddenly become exponentially more dangerous. And somewhere in the depths of space, automated monitoring systems detect the Saiyan energy signatures and begin broadcasting alerts to interested parties across the galaxy. Earth, once invisible to cosmic powers, has announced its presence in terms that cannot be ignored. The gentle protector is dying. In his place, something far more dangerous is being born from the ashes of lost innocence and the fires of awakening Saiyan pride. The universe will never be the same. The silence that follows Master Roshi's death stretches like a wound across reality itself. Goku stands frozen, his mind unable to process what his eyes have witnessed. The gentle teacher who raised him, who shared wisdom and turtle soup and endless patience, has been reduced to ash that drifts away on ocean winds. But silence cannot contain the storm building inside Kakarot's chest. Something fundamental tears apart as the loss hits him with force that transcends physical pain. This isn't just grief. This is the death of innocence itself, the violent end of everything that made him believe the universe was fundamentally good. His power explodes outward without conscious direction, driven by emotional trauma so pure it bypasses every restraint Master Roshi ever taught him. The ocean around Kame House begins to boil. The air itself catches fire from the intensity of his ki. Reality warps as energies that should take decades to develop burst forth from genetic reserves unlocked by absolute fury. BARDOCK watches with satisfaction as his son's true nature finally breaks through Earth's corrupting influence. This is what he came to awaken. This is the power that prophecy foretold. Kakarot's hair begins to flicker between black and gold, his eyes blaze with light that has nothing to do with human emotion, and his aura burns with the righteous wrath of a warrior race finally asserting its dominance. But the transformation carries with it something BARDOCK didn't anticipate. This isn't the cold calculation of Saiyan superiority. This is raw anguish transformed into devastating force. His son's power is indeed awakening, but it's being fueled by love rather than pride, by loss rather than conquest. The attack that follows moves beyond anything either warrior has displayed before. Kakarot launches himself at his father with speed that breaks light barriers, his fist connecting with enough force to split continents. But BARDOCK is ready. He has fought opponents whose power dwarfs solar systems. He has survived battles that rewrote the laws of physics. His son's rage, however impressive, remains that of a child playing with forces beyond his understanding. The counterattack sends Goku crashing through the Earth's crust, his body creating a tunnel that reaches nearly to the planet's core before he can arrest his downward momentum. But instead of discouraging him, the pain only feeds the fire burning in his chest. He rockets back to the surface with power levels that make previous displays seem like gentle breezes. What follows is not a battle between father and son. It is education through overwhelming force. Every technique Goku attempts gets casually deflected. Every burst of power gets answered by something exponentially greater. Every desperate strategy gets anticipated and countered before it can develop. But with each exchange, something else grows stronger than his power. His rage. Krillin, forgotten in the cosmic forces being unleashed around him, watches his best friend disappear beneath layers of fury that transform his familiar features into something alien and terrible. The gentle boy who shared dreams and friendship is being burned away, replaced by something that fights with increasing savagery. When Goku's Kamehameha wave turns from blue to crimson red, Krillin knows they have passed a point of no return. This is no longer defensive technique adapted from Turtle School philosophy. This is Saiyan destruction instinct given form and focus. The energy beam that erupts from his friend's hands carries enough power to vaporize mountain ranges and the killing intent to use it without hesitation. But even this evolution proves insufficient against BARDOCK's overwhelming experience. He catches the Crimson Kamehameha in his bare hand, compresses it into a sphere of concentrated energy, and hurls it back with twice the original force. The redirected attack levels what remains of the surrounding landscape, turning paradise into wasteland in the span of heartbeats. As Goku rises from the crater created by his own technique, something fundamental has changed in his eyes. The innocent confusion is gone, replaced by calculation that belongs to predators rather than protectors. His stance shifts from defensive to aggressive. His ki stops fluctuating and becomes steady, controlled, focused on a single purpose: victory, no matter the cost. 3 weeks pass before the world begins to understand what has changed. Military forces establish a perimeter around what used to be the peaceful coastline where Kame House once stood. Scientists study energy readings that defy explanation. Government officials debate whether the destruction represents natural disaster or something far more dangerous. But the martial arts community knows the truth. Across the globe, masters who trained under the Turtle Hermit's gentle philosophy feel the absence of his key signature like a missing heartbeat. The man who represented the peaceful application of incredible power has been erased from existence, leaving only questions about what force could accomplish such impossibility. More troubling are the reports filtering in from remote locations. Sightings of a young man with wild hair and eyes that burn with inner fire, moving at speeds that make jet aircraft seem stationary. Witnesses describe someone who looks like the gentle Goku but radiates menace that makes hardened warriors flee without engaging. The transformation spreads beyond the primary combatants. Piccolo emerges from his meditation cave 3 weeks early, drawn by energy signatures that suggest the balance of power has shifted dramatically. His enhanced senses detect not just Goku's altered ki but something else. A presence that carries the unmistakable signature of Saiyan heritage but operates on scales that make even his own considerable strength seem inadequate. 2 of them, Piccolo realizes with growing unease. There are 2 Saiyans on Earth now, and one of them has corrupted Kakarot beyond recognition. Tien and Chiatsu feel the disturbance from their mountain training grounds. The Tri-Eyed Warrior's enhanced perception allows him to analyze the energy patterns from hundreds of miles away, and what he discovers makes him consider abandoning Earth entirely. The gentle fighter who once showed mercy even to enemies now radiates killing intent that suggests mercy has been permanently eliminated from his emotional vocabulary. We have to find Yamcha, Tien decides with grim determination. If Goku has been turned into something like this, we'll need every fighter we can gather just to survive what's coming. But Yamcha has already made his choice. The desert bandit turned martial artist encounters the transformed Goku during what should have been a routine training session in the wasteland. The meeting lasts less than 30 seconds before Yamcha realizes that his former ally has become something that views him as either obstacle or prey. The chase that follows spans 3 countries. Yamcha uses every technique he learned from Master Roshi, every trick he developed during his bandit years, every desperate strategy his survival instincts can devise. But he's not running from an enemy. He's fleeing from a friend who has been transformed into something that considers their former relationship irrelevant to current objectives. When Goku finally catches him, the conversation reveals the depth of transformation that has occurred. The boy who once offered food to hungry strangers now speaks with cold calculation about the weakness of attachment, the futility of mercy, the necessity of eliminating obstacles to proper order. You used to be stronger, Goku observes with disappointment that carries undertones of contempt. Master Roshi's training gave you potential that you wasted on protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. Now you're just another weakling who thinks friendship matters more than power. Yamcha's attempts to reach his former friend fall on deaf ears. The gentle soul who once saw good in everyone has been replaced by something that measures worth entirely through combat capability. When Yamcha refuses to abandon his protective instincts and embrace Saiyan philosophy, Goku's response is swift and merciless. The attack doesn't kill him, but it leaves him broken in ways that go beyond physical injury. As Yamcha lies bleeding in the desert sand, Goku's final words echo with the finality of absolute judgment. Tell the others that the age of weakness is ending. Earth will be strong now, whether its people choose strength or have strength imposed upon them. Master Roshi's gentle philosophy dies with him. Only Saiyan truth remains. The message spreads through the martial arts community like virus through a healthy body. Earth's greatest protector has become its most dangerous threat. The gentle giant who once fought to preserve peace now seeks to impose order through overwhelming force. Every technique he learned for defense has been adapted for conquest. But the transformation extends beyond individual fighters to affect the entire planet's spiritual ecosystem. Earth's key signature, which once radiated gentle warmth that attracted positive attention from across the galaxy, now pulses with aggressive energy that serves as warning to potential threats and invitation to those who respect strength above all else. Sensing equipment throughout the solar system begins detecting readings that suggest Earth has become something unprecedented. Not just a world that harbors powerful fighters, but a planet whose dominant energy signature operates according to principles that transcend peaceful coexistence. The readings reach interested parties whose attention Earth definitely doesn't want. Frieza's scouts, monitoring for signs of surviving Saiyans, detect power levels that suggest not just survival but evolution beyond anything their databases contain. The energy signatures blazing from the 3rd planet around an insignificant star indicate Saiyan strength that rivals their Emperor's own capabilities. But most ominously, the readings attract attention from Vegeta himself. The Saiyan Prince, convinced of his own superiority as the legendary Super Saiyan, detects power levels from Earth that challenge his fundamental assumptions about Saiyan hierarchy. The energy signatures suggest not just survival of his race, but the emergence of power that might actually exceed his royal bloodline. His response is predictable and devastating. Vegeta begins accelerating his timeline for visiting Earth, but not as the cautious investigator he once might have been. These readings suggest potential rivals to his supremacy, and Saiyan pride demands that such challenges be met with overwhelming force. The pod that launches from Frieza's flagship carries not just Vegeta's royal arrogance, but weapons and techniques designed specifically for eliminating other Saiyans. If Earth harbors survivors who think they can challenge the prince's birthright, they will learn the meaning of royal superiority through personal experience. Back on Earth, the transformation continues to ripple through every aspect of planetary existence. Animals flee from regions where Goku's new energy signature is strongest. Plants wither in the presence of ki that operates according to predatory rather than protective principles. Even the weather patterns begin shifting in response to atmospheric pressures generated by Saiyan power operating without restraint. In hidden bunkers and remote monasteries, the remaining martial artists gather to discuss responses to a threat that transcends anything they ever imagined facing. Their greatest champion has become their deadliest enemy. Their protector has transformed into their conqueror. Their gentle giant has evolved into something that views mercy as weakness and compassion as corruption. Master Roshi's death marks not just the end of an era, but the beginning of something that will reshape Earth's destiny. The Turtle School's peaceful philosophy lies in ashes. The gentle application of incredible power has been replaced by the ruthless efficiency of Saiyan superiority. The age of protection through strength has ended. The age of domination through power has begun. And somewhere in the depths of space, automated systems continue broadcasting alerts about energy signatures that suggest Earth has become something that might actually threaten the established order of galactic civilization. The gentle world that once inspired hope now radiates menace that makes even cosmic powers consider whether intervention might be necessary. The ripple effects spread outward from a single moment of transformed consciousness, carrying with them the seeds of changes that will reshape not just Earth, but the entire universe's understanding of what it means to be strong in a cosmos where strength has always been measured by the ability to impose will upon others. The gentle protector is dead. In his place, something far more dangerous has been born from the ashes of lost innocence and the fires of awakening Saiyan pride. The universe will learn to fear the name Kakarot just as it once learned to respect the name Goku. But fear and respect serve very different purposes in the cosmic order that governs the relationship between the strong and the weak. And in that difference lies the seed of everything that will follow. The transformation of Earth's greatest protector into its most dangerous threat creates ripple effects that reshape every relationship that once defined the planet's martial arts community. Former allies become desperate enemies. Ancient rivalries dissolve into unlikely partnerships. The fundamental question of whether to fight or flee from their corrupted champion divides the remaining fighters into factions that will determine Earth's fate. Chi-Chi arrives at the ruins of Kama House 6 days after the battle, drawn by reports of destruction that mention her beloved Goku. What she finds defies every assumption she held about the gentle boy she planned to marry. The cheerful warrior who promised to protect her has been replaced by something that radiates predatory menace even in moments of apparent calm. Their reunion unfolds like a nightmare wrapped in familiar faces. Goku recognizes her, speaks her name with the same voice she remembers, but the soul behind his eyes has been fundamentally altered. When she runs toward him with arms outstretched, expecting the warm embrace that always made her feel safe, his response chills her to the bone. Chi-Chi, he acknowledges with detached observation rather than emotional warmth. You've grown stronger since our last meeting. Your ki has developed beyond what I expected from someone with no formal training. Interesting. The clinical analysis in his voice, the way he studies her like a specimen rather than embracing her like a lover, reveals the depth of transformation that has occurred. This is not the gentle soul who once promised to protect her. This is something that evaluates her worth based entirely on combat potential. When she attempts to touch his face, to reach the person she knows must still exist beneath whatever has changed him, his reflexive grab of her wrist demonstrates strength that could crush bones without effort. The pressure isn't quite painful, but it serves as unmistakable warning about the consequences of presuming familiarity with someone who has transcended human emotional attachments. "You're different," Chi-Chi whispers, her voice carrying the weight of dreams dying in real time. "What happened to you? What happened to the boy who promised we'd have a family together?" "That boy was weak," Goku replies with finality that makes her heart shatter. "He made promises based on sentiment rather than strength. He valued emotional attachments over evolutionary potential. That weakness nearly cost him everything that matters." The philosophical divide between them crystallizes into something that cannot be bridged through love or memory. Chi-Chi represents the gentle human connections that once anchored his identity to protective purposes. But those connections now seem like chains that prevented him from achieving his true potential as a Saiyan warrior. Her tears have no effect on him. Her pleas for him to remember their shared dreams fall on deaf ears. When she finally collapses in grief, mourning not just the loss of their future but the death of everything she thought she knew about the man she loved, his response demonstrates how completely he has abandoned human emotional frameworks. Weakness invites destruction. He observes with detached compassion that makes his coldness even more heartbreaking. "Your attachment to what I used to be will only cause you pain. Accept what I have become, or find someone more suited to your limited understanding of what strength should accomplish." But Chi-Chi's heartbreak triggers an unexpected response from someone who has been watching their reunion from concealment. Piccolo emerges from the shadows with power levels that have grown exponentially during his meditation, driven by recognition that Earth's balance has shifted towards something that threatens every form of life on the planet. "So this is what you've become," Piccolo states with mixture of disgust and professional interest. "The pure-hearted warrior transformed into something that views love as weakness. Your father's corruption runs deeper than I anticipated." The confrontation between Goku and Piccolo represents more than personal conflict. This is ideological warfare between two interpretations of what power should accomplish. Piccolo, despite his demonic heritage, has always understood that strength serves best when directed toward purposes beyond mere domination. But Goku's transformation has eliminated that understanding entirely. Piccolo, Goku acknowledges with the same clinical detachment he showed Chi-Chi. Your power has increased substantially. Good, Earth will need strong defenders when the real battles begin, but your attachment to outdated concepts like mercy and restraint will limit your effectiveness. The battle that erupts between them showcases how fundamentally Goku's fighting philosophy has changed. Every technique he employs carries lethal intent. Every exchange demonstrates tactical thinking designed to end conflicts through overwhelming superiority rather than seeking mutual understanding through combat. Piccolo finds himself outmatched not just by raw power, but by the complete elimination of restraint that once made Goku predictable. The gentle fighter who held back to avoid unnecessary harm has been replaced by something that uses exactly as much force as tactical advantage requires, regardless of consequences to his opponent. But the most shocking moment comes when other fighters begin arriving to investigate the energy signatures blazing from their location. Tien and Chiatsu, drawn by the cosmic forces being unleashed, arrive to find their former ally locked in deadly combat with someone they once considered an ally against greater threats. The confusion that follows reveals how completely the established order has collapsed. Tien attempts to mediate between Goku and Piccolo, assuming their conflict stems from misunderstanding rather than fundamental philosophical differences. His efforts to restore peace demonstrate how completely he misunderstands what Goku has become. There's no need to fight each other, Tien declares with the confidence of someone who believes reason can overcome any conflict. We're all defenders of Earth. Whatever differences we have, we can resolve them without violence. Goku's response eliminates any possibility of peaceful resolution. His attack on Tien carries enough force to demonstrate that former friendships mean nothing compared to current assessments of strength and usefulness. The Tri-Eyed Warrior's defensive techniques, impressive by normal standards, prove laughably inadequate against Saiyan power unleashed without restraint. But the attack serves a purpose beyond mere demonstration. It forces every fighter present to choose sides in a conflict that will determine Earth's future. Support the transformed Goku and accept his vision of strength through domination, or oppose him and face the consequences of challenging Saiyan superiority. Chiatsu makes his choice through action rather than words. His psychic abilities, enhanced by years of training with Tien, lash out at Goku's mind in desperate attempt to restore the gentle soul they once knew. The psychic assault seeks not to harm but to heal, to break through whatever corruption has transformed their friend into this cold evaluator of worth through combat capability. The failure of his attempt reveals something terrifying about Goku's transformation. This isn't possession or mind control that can be broken through external intervention. This is fundamental change at the genetic level, Saiyan instincts awakening to assert dominance over learned human behavioral patterns. When Chiatsu's psychic powers prove insufficient to affect Goku's consciousness, the small fighter's desperation drives him toward techniques that should never be employed against friends. His self-destruction attack, the ultimate expression of loyalty through sacrifice, demonstrates the lengths to which Earth's defenders will go to stop what their greatest protector has become. But even Chiatsu's supreme sacrifice fails to significantly damage someone whose Saiyan physiology has adapted beyond human limitations. The explosion that should eliminate any normal fighter merely serves as demonstration of how far beyond human category Goku has evolved. The aftermath of Chiatsu's death creates the first crack in Goku's newfound coldness. For a moment, something that might be regret flickers across his features as he stares at the crater where a loyal friend chose death rather than accept his transformation. But the emotion passes quickly, replaced by clinical analysis of tactical lessons learned. Unnecessary, he observes with something that almost resembles sadness. His loyalty was admirable, but loyalty directed toward weakness accomplishes nothing except waste of potential. Tien's rage at his friend's death creates the most brutal exchange of the entire confrontation. The Tri-Eyed Warrior pushes beyond every limit he has ever accepted, his techniques achieving power levels that surprise even Goku's enhanced combat analysis. But rage without adequate foundation and raw strength accomplishes nothing except prolonging inevitable defeat. When the dust settles, Earth's remaining defenders face a choice that will define everything that follows. Accept Goku's transformation and adapt to a world where strength determines worth, or continue resistance against someone whose power transcends anything they can hope to match through conventional training. Piccolo makes the first realistic assessment of their situation with characteristic bluntness that cuts through emotional attachment to focus on tactical reality. He's beyond us, the Namekian admits with reluctant respect for power that exceeds his own considerable capabilities. Individual resistance is meaningless against what he's become. Our only hope lies in finding power that matches his own, or in discovering weaknesses that his transformation hasn't eliminated. The alliance that forms in the wake of this recognition represents something unprecedented in Earth's martial arts history. Former enemies unite not through shared idealism, but through shared recognition that survival requires cooperation against a threat that transcends personal grudges or philosophical differences. But even as they plan desperate strategies for containing or converting their transformed champion, other forces converge on Earth with purposes that will complicate their efforts beyond anything they can imagine. The energy signatures blazing from their planet have attracted attention from cosmic powers whose interest in Saiyan survivors transcends mere curiosity. The gentle protector is gone. In his place stands something that will test every assumption about friendship, loyalty, and the price of power unleashed without wisdom to guide its application. The real battles are just beginning. The uneasy alliance between Earth's surviving defenders takes shape in the hidden depths of an abandoned military bunker far from the energy signatures that might attract Goku's attention. Piccolo, despite his demonic heritage, finds himself leading a resistance movement against someone who was once Earth's greatest protector. The irony isn't lost on anyone present, but survival trumps philosophical consistency when facing extinction. Tien arrives 3 days after Chiaotzu's death, his power level pushed beyond previous limitations by grief transformed into focused determination. The tri-eyed warrior has spent 72 hours in continuous training, pushing his body through exercises that would kill normal humans, driven by recognition that conventional strength will never match what Goku has become. He's not the same person, Tien reports with clinical detachment that masks profound loss. Whatever transformation occurred eliminated not just his gentleness but his ability to recognize bonds that don't serve tactical purposes. Chiaotzu's sacrifice meant nothing to him except as demonstration of inefficient resource allocation. Yamcha's intelligence provides crucial insights into Goku's current operational patterns. The Desert Fighter has been tracking his former friend's movements across 3 continents, documenting behavioral changes that suggest systematic transformation rather than temporary corruption. He's establishing territory, Yamcha explains, while nursing injuries that serve as testimony to the cost of reconnaissance against Saiyan power. Not through conquest, but through demonstration of overwhelming superiority. Anyone who challenges him gets defeated but not killed, unless they persist in resistance beyond what he considers reasonable warning. The pattern suggests tactical thinking that transcends mere brutality. Goku's transformation has created something that operates according to Saiyan military doctrine adapted for planetary occupation. His goal isn't random destruction, but efficient establishment of hierarchical order based on combat capability. Piccolo's analysis cuts to the strategic heart of their situation with characteristic bluntness. He's preparing Earth for something larger. This isn't just personal transformation, it's systematic conditioning for whatever comes next. The question is whether we wait for that next phase or act while we still have freedom to maneuver. But their planning gets interrupted by energy signatures that dwarf even Goku's transformed power. The approaching spacecraft carries readings that make Earth's defenders realize their local crisis represents merely the first movement in a cosmic symphony of destruction. Vegeta's arrival shatters every assumption about the scope of threats they face. The Saiyan Prince's pod burns through Earth's atmosphere with the casual arrogance of royalty claiming rightful territory. His power level, detectable from orbit, exceeds anything their sensors can measure accurately. But Vegeta's emotional state upon landing reveals complexities that none of Earth's defenders anticipated. The Royal Saiyan expected to find a world of weaklings harboring 1 or 2 survivors of his extinct race. Instead, his enhanced senses detect power signatures that suggest not just Saiyan survival but evolution beyond anything his royal bloodline considered possible. Impossible. Vegeta breathes as he analyzes the energy patterns radiating from multiple locations across the planet. 2 Saiyans whose power rivals my own on a backwater world that should contain nothing more dangerous than primitive mammals. How has such evolution occurred without my knowledge? His investigation leads him first to BARDOCK, whose energy signature carries the unmistakable authority of military experience that even royal pride must acknowledge. The meeting between Father of Kakarot and Prince of all Saiyans unfolds with the formal courtesy that desperate circumstances impose on natural enemies. BARDOCK, Vegeta acknowledges with grudging respect for someone whose survival of planet Vegeta's destruction represents tactical achievement worthy of royal recognition. I heard you died with the rest of our race. Your continued existence raises questions about the completeness of Frieza's genocide. My death was greatly exaggerated, BARDOCK replies with dark humor that masks the years of survival against impossible odds, as was the extinction of Saiyan potential. My son has achieved power levels that exceed anything our race accomplished before Frieza's betrayal. The legendary Super Saiyan lives, but not in the form that prophecy suggested. The alliance that forms between them represents pragmatic recognition of shared interests despite fundamental philosophical differences. Vegeta's royal pride demands acknowledgement of his supremacy over all other Saiyans. BARDOCK's military experience suggests that hierarchy matters less than survival when facing cosmic threats. Both recognize that their individual goals require cooperation against forces that transcend personal ambition. Their combined power creates synergy effects that reshape Earth's spiritual atmosphere. The planet's key signature, already altered by Goku's transformation, begins radiating frequencies that suggest something unprecedented in galactic history. Not just one or two powerful individuals, but a world where Saiyan potential has found environment conducive to unlimited evolution. The readings reach monitoring stations throughout Frieza's empire with implications that transcend routine intelligence gathering. 3 Saiyans, whose combined power might actually threaten Imperial supremacy, have gathered on a single world. The Emperor's response is swift and overwhelmingly decisive. Battle fleets that could reduce solar systems to debris begin converging on Earth's coordinates. But Frieza himself leads the expedition, his curiosity about these impossible power readings overriding his usual caution about potential threats. If Earth harbors Saiyans who think they can challenge universal order, they will learn the meaning of Imperial supremacy through personal demonstration. Meanwhile, Earth's defenders face the reality that their local resistance movement has become irrelevant compared to cosmic forces converging on their world. Piccolo's tactical analysis reveals the scope of what approaches with brutal clarity. "We're not just fighting Goku anymore," he explains to the assembled fighters. "We're caught between Saiyan civil war and Imperial retaliation. Our choices have narrowed to joining one side or facing elimination by all of them." The decision splits their resistance along lines that reflect fundamental differences in philosophy about power and its purposes. Tien and Yamcha choose continued opposition to any form of tyranny, whether Saiyan or Imperial. Their commitment to protecting innocent civilians overrides tactical considerations about survival odds. But others recognize that pure idealism becomes meaningless when facing extinction. Some fighters begin considering whether alliance with the least destructive option might preserve more lives than continued resistance against impossible odds. The internal debates reveal how completely their situation transcends normal categories of heroism and villainy. Every choice available carries consequences that will result in massive loss of life. The question becomes not how to achieve victory, but how to minimize catastrophe when catastrophe has become inevitable. Goku's own preparations during this period demonstrate tactical thinking that operates on scales his former friends never imagined possible. His enhanced senses detect the approaching fleets weeks before Earth's technology registers their presence. His response involves not panic or desperate defensive measures, but systematic cultivation of planetary resources for optimal resistance. "Father," he addresses Bardock during one of their training sessions, "the Emperor's forces will arrive within the month. Are you prepared to face the tyrant whose power destroyed our homeworld?" Bardock's response carries the weight of decades spent planning for exactly this confrontation. "I've been preparing for this battle since the moment I escaped planet Vegeta's destruction, but preparation and capability remain different concepts. Frieza's power operates on scales that require more than individual strength to overcome. The training that follows pushes both Saiyans beyond every limit they previously accepted. Gravity chambers salvaged from Vegeta's pod create environments where normal physics become suggestions rather than laws. Combat drills operate at speeds that blur the distinction between movement and teleportation. Power development exercises tap into genetic reserves that should remain dormant for decades. But the most crucial preparation involves psychological conditioning for warfare that transcends normal concepts of victory and defeat. This won't be battle between good and evil, but collision between different interpretations of what ultimate power should accomplish. The winners will reshape universal order according to their philosophy. The losers will face extinction. As the month progresses, Earth itself begins showing signs of stress from the cosmic forces gathering around it. Tectonic activity increases as the planet's magnetic field responds to unprecedented energy signatures. Weather patterns shift in ways that suggest atmospheric pressure changes beyond anything natural phenomena could produce. The gentle world that once harbored dreams of peace becomes staging ground for confrontation that will determine the fate of entire galaxies. Every choice made in the coming battle will ripple outward through civilizations that have never heard of Earth but whose futures depend on which philosophy of power emerges victorious. In hidden bunkers across the planet, ordinary humans huddle in terror as their instruments detect energy readings that suggest their world has become center stage for forces beyond their comprehension. The gentle protector who once stood between them and cosmic threats has become part of those threats. The gathering storm reaches critical mass as multiple cosmic forces converge on a single world whose transformation from peaceful haven to battlefield of legends will reshape every assumption about the relationship between power and responsibility in a universe where strength has always determined the fate of civilizations. The final battle approaches with inevitability that makes individual choices seem meaningless against the weight of cosmic destiny. But in the space between choice and inevitability lies the narrow path where heroes are born and legends die, where the fate of existence itself gets decided by beings whose power transcends every previous understanding of what transcendence might ultimately mean. But as Frieza's flagship enters the outer reaches of Earth's solar system, carrying with it the power to end all questions through absolute demonstration of Imperial supremacy, a new signal appears on long-range sensors that changes everything. Something else is coming, something that makes even Frieza's overwhelming power seem inadequate to the challenges ahead. The gathering storm becomes hurricane, and at its center stands a transformed boy whose gentle heart once beat with love for every living thing, but now pulses with rhythms that serve purposes beyond any individual's comprehension of what ultimate strength should accomplish. The universe holds its breath as cosmic forces converge on Earth, knowing that whatever emerges from the coming confrontation will reshape the fundamental nature of power itself across infinite realities where beings dream of transcending the limitations that define mortal existence. The gathering storm reaches crescendo, and in its eye stands silence that carries within it the seeds of everything that will follow. The moment Frieza's flagship breaks through Earth's upper atmosphere, every living being on the planet feels the presence of power that transcends planetary scale. This isn't merely a strong fighter arriving for battle. This is cosmic authority incarnate, universal dominance given physical form, the embodiment of tyranny that has shaped galactic civilization for centuries. The Emperor's energy signature alone causes widespread panic among Earth's population. Military installations go into full alert status as their instruments register readings that exceed every classification system. Emergency broadcasts urge citizens to seek shelter, but no shelter exists that could protect against power operating on stellar scales. Frieza's first survey of Earth confirms intelligence reports that seem too impossible to believe. 3 distinct Saiyan energy signatures burn across the planet's surface, each one powerful enough to threaten his individual supremacy. But more troubling are the resonance effects between them, suggesting coordination that could amplify their combined strength beyond simple addition. Fascinating, Frieza observes from his command throne as his ship settles into orbit around Earth. Not only have monkeys survived my thorough extermination, but they appear to have evolved beyond anything their primitive race achieved during their servitude. This requires personal investigation. His descent to Earth's surface unfolds with the theatrical grandeur that befits Universal Emperor making first contact with potential threats to his cosmic order. The landing site he chooses carries symbolic significance that transcends mere tactical advantage. The ruins of what was once Kam House, where Master Roshi's gentle philosophy died in flames, where Goku's transformation began with his teacher's ashes. BARDOCK arrives first, drawn by energy signatures that carry the weight of racial extinction and personal vengeance. Face to face with the tyrant who destroyed his homeworld, killed his wife, eliminated his people, the Saiyan warrior feels emotions that transcend simple hatred. This is confrontation between survivor and destroyer, victim and perpetrator, the living embodiment of Saiyan resilience facing the cosmic force that sought to eliminate it entirely. BARDOCK, Frieza acknowledges with cultured amusement that masks genuine surprise at seeing a face he thought reduced to cosmic dust decades ago. How delightfully unexpected. I was certain that my supernova had eliminated every trace of your troublesome race. Your survival suggests either remarkable fortune or tactical capability that I underestimated. Your genocide was incomplete, BARDOCK replies with voice that carries the accumulated weight of years spent planning for exactly this moment. Saiyan blood flows stronger than your imperial arrogance assumed. We are not extinct, we are evolved. The philosophical exchange that follows reveals the fundamental divide between imperial tyranny and racial survival. Frieza represents order through absolute dominance, civilization maintained through fear of superior power. BARDOCK embodies resistance through adaptive evolution, strength that grows through adversity rather than being broken by it. But their conversation gets interrupted by the arrival of Vegeta, whose royal pride demands recognition as the primary Saiyan authority, despite tactical circumstances that make hierarchy irrelevant. The prince's energy signature blazes with indignation at finding his former master treating another Saiyan as equal participant in cosmic dialogue. Lord Frieza, Vegeta announces with sarcasm that barely masks lethal intent. How generous of you to visit our new stronghold. I trust you've come to acknowledge the evolution of Saiyan power beyond your ability to control or eliminate. The triangular confrontation that develops reveals complexities that transcend simple combat between opposing forces. Frieza faces not just individual Saiyans but the philosophical challenge of racial survival despite systematic attempts at extinction. Vegeta confronts not just his former master, but the reality that royal bloodline means nothing compared to demonstrated strength. BARDOCK encounters not just the destroyer of his people, but the embodiment of cosmic order that his son's transformation was designed to challenge. Their exchange of power demonstrations begins with restraint that quickly evaporates as each participant realizes the stakes transcend personal survival. This battle will determine not just individual fates, but the fundamental nature of power relationships throughout the galaxy. The winners will establish new cosmic order, the losers will face extinction. Frieza's opening attack showcases techniques refined through centuries of galactic conquest. His death beam carries enough concentrated force to pierce planetary cores. His telekinetic abilities manipulate gravity itself, creating localized black holes that distort space-time around the battlefield. This is power that has reduced countless civilizations to cosmic debris, refined through absolute dominance over universal order. But Bardock's response demonstrates evolution that transcends Frieza's previous understanding of Saiyan limitations. His techniques blend military experience with genetic adaptation achieved through decades of survival against impossible odds. Each attack carries tactical intelligence that suggests not just individual strength but strategic thinking that operates on scales worthy of galactic conquest. Vegeta's contribution reveals royal combat training that has been enhanced by years of serving under Frieza's command while secretly plotting rebellion. His techniques showcase not just inherited superiority, but adaptive capability that has absorbed the best elements of imperial military doctrine while rejecting the philosophical framework that justified tyrannical rule. The three-way battle that erupts reshapes the landscape for hundreds of miles around their confrontation. Mountains disappear under energy attacks that operate beyond normal physics. New lakes form from redirected ki blasts that vaporize solid matter. The very atoms of Earth's surface bear witness to forces that transcend planetary scale. But the true turning point comes when the fourth participant arrives to transform triangular conflict into something that defies every previous understanding of what cosmic confrontation should accomplish. Goku's approach carries energy signatures that make even Frieza's overwhelming power seem inadequate to the challenges ahead. His transformation has evolved beyond the Saiyan awakening that Bardock intended to create. This is something that transcends racial genetics to tap into forces that operate on universal scales. Kakarot, Frieza acknowledges with mixture of anticipation and unease that reflects recognition of power that might actually threaten his cosmic supremacy. So the low-class warrior has indeed achieved legendary status. How delightfully unexpected. I look forward to demonstrating that even legends must kneel before imperial authority. But Goku's response reveals transformation that transcends Frieza's categories of challenge and submission. His power operates according to principles that make imperial dominance seem like primitive concept compared to what ultimate strength should accomplish. You destroyed my father's world, Goku states with voice that carries harmonics existing beyond normal perception. You eliminated my people. You created the circumstances that forced my transformation. In a sense, you are responsible for everything I have become. I should thank you. The philosophical reversal catches Frieza off guard. Instead of hatred or desire for vengeance, Goku radiates something that approaches gratitude for the cosmic forces that shaped his evolution. This isn't the rage-driven opposition that imperial power knows how to crush. This is transcendent understanding that operates beyond normal emotional categories. The battle that follows transcends every previous understanding of what cosmic confrontation should accomplish. Four beings whose combined power could reshape galactic civilization engage in combat that affects the fundamental structure of local space-time. Reality itself becomes battlefield as techniques that operate beyond normal physics reshape the laws that govern existence. Frieza's experience with universal conquest provides tactical advantages that raw power alone cannot overcome. His techniques adapt to whatever challenges emerge, evolution through combat that has been refined across centuries of galactic domination. When energy attacks prove insufficient, he employs psychological warfare that targets the bonds between Saiyans to divide their effectiveness. Your precious father survived planet Vegeta's destruction. Frieza taunts while deflecting combined attacks from all three Saiyans. But he couldn't save your mother. Jin died screaming your name, hoping her infant son would somehow escape the fate that claimed her precious husband's race. The revelation hits Bardock with force that transcends physical damage. His wife's final moments, witnessed through Frieza's casual recollection, provide emotional trauma that disrupts his tactical focus. But instead of weakening his combat effectiveness, the knowledge transforms his fighting philosophy entirely. This isn't just about Saiyan survival anymore. This is about cosmic justice for every being whose life was extinguished by imperial tyranny. His techniques evolve mid-battle to incorporate not just personal vengeance, but universal resistance against tyrannical order that treats sentient life as expendable resource. Vegeta's royal pride faces similar challenge when Frieza's psychological attacks target his fundamental assumptions about inherited superiority. Your father knelt before me, the Emperor reveals with malicious satisfaction. King Vegeta, mighty ruler of the Saiyan race, begged for mercy that I was pleased to deny. Royal blood means nothing when faced with actual power. But instead of crushing Vegeta's spirit, the revelation liberates him from philosophical constraints that limited his potential. Royal birthright becomes irrelevant compared to demonstrated capability. His techniques transcend inherited limitations to access power that has nothing to do with bloodline and everything to do with personal choice to resist tyrannical authority. The synergy between three Saiyans united by shared purpose creates effects that transcend simple addition of individual capabilities. Their combined techniques generate resonance patterns that amplify each other's strengths while compensating for individual weaknesses. This is coordination that operates on levels that make Frieza's individual superiority seem inadequate to the challenges he faces. But the Emperor's response demonstrates why his power has dominated galactic civilization for centuries. When faced with coordinated resistance that threatens his supremacy, he abandons restraint entirely. His final form emerges with power levels that make his previous displays seem like gentle demonstrations. Enough games, Frieza declares as his transformation reaches completion. If monkeys wish to challenge universal order, they will learn what true power accomplishes when unleashed without mercy or restraint. The energy release that follows his final transformation affects Earth's rotation, creates gravitational anomalies that disrupt satellite orbits, and generates electromagnetic pulses that shut down electronic systems across 3 continents. This is power that operates on scales that make planetary survival seem uncertain. But Goku's response transcends even these cosmic displays. His transformation has been building throughout the battle, fed by recognition that individual strength means nothing compared to the bonds that connect all living beings in webs of mutual support and shared purpose. The golden aura that erupts around him carries undertones that exist beyond normal perception. This is Super Saiyan power enhanced by forces that transcend racial genetics. This is evolution through connection rather than isolation, strength that grows through service to others rather than domination over them. The beam struggle that follows between Goku's transcendent Kamehameha and Frieza's ultimate death beam creates phenomena that register on scientific instruments throughout the galaxy. Space-time warps around the collision point. Reality hiccups as forces that operate beyond conventional physics strain the fundamental laws that govern existence. But the true power behind Goku's attack comes not from individual strength, but from connections that span dimensions. Every being he has ever protected, every friend who believed in his gentle nature, every innocent who found hope in his protection, contributes energy to techniques that transcend personal limitation. The reversal when it comes happens with shocking suddenness. Frieza's seemingly overwhelming power encounters forces that operate according to principles he has never bothered to understand. Love, sacrifice. The bonds that make beings stronger by giving them something worth protecting that transcends individual existence. His death beam, designed to eliminate all resistance through absolute force, gets absorbed and transformed by Goku's transcendent energy. The attack that should have ended all challenges to Imperial authority instead becomes fuel for power that operates beyond every category that tyrannical thinking can comprehend. When the light fades, Frieza lies broken on the battlefield, his power depleted, his arrogance shattered, his understanding of universal order fundamentally challenged by forces he thought he had eliminated through systematic conquest. But the victory carries implications that transcend simple triumph over tyranny. The energy signatures blazing from Earth have attracted attention from cosmic entities whose power makes even Frieza's ultimate form seem inadequate to the challenges ahead. Ancient forces that maintain universal balance through controlled limitation have detected readings that suggest fundamental changes in the nature of power itself. The battle that seemed to end with Frieza's defeat becomes merely the opening movement in confrontation that will determine whether love can indeed prove stronger than fear, whether connection can transcend domination, whether the universe itself can evolve beyond cycles of tyranny and resistance that have defined galactic civilization since the beginning of recorded history. The ultimate confrontation concludes with questions that reach beyond victory and defeat to probe the fundamental nature of what ultimate power should accomplish in a cosmos where strength has always been measured by the ability to impose will upon others. And in the silence that follows cosmic battle, 3 Saiyans who began as enemies discover that their greatest strength lies not in individual power, but in their willingness to fight together for something greater than themselves. The transformation of power itself has begun, and the universe will never be the same. The silence following Frieza's defeat lasts exactly 17 seconds before reality itself begins unraveling around the battlefield. The Emperor's broken form, sprawled across what used to be a mountain range, suddenly convulses with energy that defies every law of physics. His eyes snap open, blazing with power that transcends his previous limitations, fed by something far more dangerous than individual strength. Impossible, Bardock breathes as his enhanced senses detect energy readings that exceed anything they faced during their cosmic battle. His power level is climbing beyond measurement. What is he drawing from? The answer reveals itself as Frieza's consciousness expands beyond individual existence to tap into the accumulated hatred of every civilization he has ever conquered. This isn't just personal power anymore. This is the collective resentment of billions of beings whose worlds burned under Imperial rule, their final emotions absorbed and transformed into fuel for ultimate revenge. You think you have won? Frieza's voice carries harmonics that exist in dimensions where suffering has literal mass. You have merely triggered the final protocol. If I cannot rule the universe, then the universe will learn the meaning of absolute extinction. His transformation transcends physical form to become something that operates as living embodiment of tyrannical principle itself. The biomechanical armor that once protected his flesh dissolves to reveal energy patterns that exist partially outside normal space-time. This is no longer Emperor facing rebels. This is the concept of domination through fear made manifest against forces that represent connection through love. The technique he begins charging operates on scales that make planetary destruction seem like gentle warning. This is universal annihilation given form and focus, power designed to eliminate not just Earth but every star system within 50 light-years. If Saiyan evolution threatens cosmic order, then cosmic order will be preserved through systematic elimination of everything that might harbor similar potential. Goku's transcendent senses perceive the true scope of what approaches with recognition that transcends fear to reach pure tactical assessment. Individual power, no matter how legendary, cannot deflect technique designed to unmake the fundamental structure of local reality. This requires something beyond Super Saiyan transformation, beyond transcendent connection, beyond every category of strength that has ever been achieved. Father Vegeta. He addresses his fellow Saiyans with voice that carries absolute certainty about what must be done. We cannot stop this through individual effort, but together we might achieve something that transcends the sum of our separate capabilities. What follows represents evolution in real time as three Saiyans whose philosophies could never coexist in peace discover unity through shared recognition that some threats require abandonment of every assumption about personal limitation. Their energy signatures begin resonating in frequencies that amplify rather than conflict, creating power synergies that none of them could access alone. But even their combined legendary strength seems inadequate against Frieza's universal destruction technique. The attack he unleashes transcends energy projection to become alteration of fundamental constants that govern existence itself. Space contracts. Time dilates. The basic forces that hold atoms together begin weakening under assault from power that operates beyond conventional physics. The desperate defense mounted by Earth's unlikely protectors pushes every participant beyond safe limits into territory where survival becomes less important than preventing universal catastrophe. BARDOCK channels decades of survival instinct into techniques that should be impossible for individual consciousness to control. Vegeta abandons royal pride entirely to access power that comes from service rather than dominance. Goku transcends personal existence to become conduit for forces that operate on cosmic scales. Their combined beam struggle against Frieza's universal annihilation creates phenomena that register on monitoring equipment throughout the galaxy. Ancient sensors designed to detect cosmic threats activate for the first time in millennia. Civilizations that have never heard of Earth suddenly detect energy signatures that suggest fundamental changes in the nature of reality itself. But the true power behind their desperate resistance comes from sources that transcend individual contribution. Every being who ever chose love over hatred, protection over exploitation, service over dominance, contributes energy to techniques that operate beyond personal limitation. This is universal resistance against tyrannical principle, coordinated through bonds that span species and dimensions. The reversal, when it comes, happens through sacrifice that redefines what legendary power should accomplish. Goku's transcendent form begins dissolving as he channels his very existence into barrier designed to contain Frieza's universal destruction. His consciousness expands beyond individual identity to become living embodiment of protective instinct, willing to face extinction to preserve everything he has ever loved. This is what you never understood. Goku addresses Frieza as his physical form becomes translucent, with energy being converted into protective force. Power exists to serve others, not to prove individual superiority. True strength comes from willingness to sacrifice everything for bonds that transcend personal existence. But Frieza's response reveals depths of corruption that transcends simple tyranny to become something that actively opposes the fundamental forces that bind reality together through love rather than fear. Sentiment. He sneers while pouring more energy into techniques designed to overwhelm any defense through sheer destructive magnitude. The weakness that destroys civilizations. I will eliminate every trace of such corruption from existence itself. The climactic exchange that follows operates beyond individual combat to become philosophical warfare between opposing concepts of what ultimate power should accomplish. Frieza represents dominance through isolation, strength that proves itself by destroying everything that might challenge its supremacy. Goku embodies connection through sacrifice, power that grows stronger by protecting everything worth preserving in existence. The barrier that contains Frieza's universal destruction begins failing as even transcendent sacrifice proves insufficient against technique designed to unmake the basic structure of reality. Cracks appear in protective energy that took Goku's entire existence to create. Through those cracks, glimpses of absolute void suggest what awaits if containment fails entirely. But in the moment when defeat seems inevitable, when universal annihilation appears certain, something unprecedented occurs. The energy that was once Goku begins resonating with power sources that exist beyond individual worlds or species. Every being throughout the galaxy who ever chose protection over exploitation begins contributing to barrier designed to preserve existence itself. This is coordination that transcends communication, unity that operates through shared recognition of stakes that dwarf personal concerns. Civilizations that have never met coordinate their efforts through bonds forged by common commitment to preserving rather than destroying everything that makes consciousness worth having. The power that flows through Goku's dissolving form carries within it the accumulated goodness of existence itself. Every act of kindness ever performed, every moment when love proves stronger than hatred, every choice to build rather than destroy contributes energy to techniques that operate beyond individual capability. Frieza's universal destruction encounters not just individual resistance, but opposition from fundamental forces that prefer existence over void, connection over isolation, love over fear. His technique, designed to eliminate everything that might challenge tyrannical authority, instead triggers response that demonstrates how much of existence actively opposes such philosophy. The explosion that follows when universal destruction meets universal protection creates phenomena that transcend normal categories of cause and effect. Reality doesn't break so much as evolve, fundamental laws adapting to accommodate forces that operate beyond their previous parameters. This is cosmic evolution in real time, existence itself learning to serve conscious intention rather than merely providing neutral background for random development. When the light fades, when space-time stabilizes, when the immediate threat of universal annihilation passes, the battlefield reveals transformation that transcends simple victory over tyranny. Frieza's form has been reduced to constituent energy, his consciousness scattered across dimensions in patterns too diffuse to maintain coherent identity. But more importantly, the universe itself has been subtly altered by exposure to forces that operate according to principles beyond tyrannical domination. Goku's sacrifice appears complete, his physical form dissolved entirely into protective energy that saved existence itself. But in the quantum foam that fills the space where he made his final stand, patterns of coherent information suggest that consciousness bound to universal service rather than individual existence might transcend normal categories of life and death. BARDOCK and Vegeta, their own transformations, pushed beyond every previous limitation by participation in cosmic resistance against universal annihilation, stand as witnesses to evolution achieved through willing sacrifice for purposes greater than personal survival. Their combined power, enhanced by connection to forces that span galaxies, makes them guardians of changes that will reshape cosmic civilization for eons to come. But even as immediate crisis passes, deeper implications begin manifesting throughout the galaxy. The energy signatures that blaze during their ultimate confrontation have attracted attention from entities whose existence operates on scales that make even universal destruction seem like local phenomenon. Ancient forces that maintain balance between order and chaos across infinite realities have detected changes that suggest fundamental evolution in the nature of power itself. Earth, once invisible to cosmic powers, has become focal point for attention from beings whose decisions affect entire dimensions. The gentle world that harbored dreams of peace has proven that love can indeed transcend fear, that connection can overcome isolation, that sacrifice for others creates strength that operates beyond individual limitation. The last stand concludes not with simple triumph over evil, but with demonstration that ultimate power serves best when guided by wisdom that transcends personal ambition to embrace purposes that benefit all conscious existence. The universe itself has evolved, and nothing will ever be the same. In the quantum patterns that dance where Goku made his final sacrifice, something stirs with anticipation of possibilities that stretch beyond every previous understanding of what transcendent power might ultimately accomplish when devoted to service rather than dominance. The gentle heart beats on, now across dimensions, touching every reality where beings choose protection over exploitation, love over hatred, connection over isolation. The legendary transformation continues, unlimited by conventional understanding of what legendary might ultimately mean. But as cosmic forces converge to investigate changes that transcend normal categories of evolution, the greatest test of what has been achieved still lies ahead. For in the depths of space beyond current exploration, entities that exist as living concepts begin stirring with recognition that the universe itself might be ready for transformation beyond anything previously imagined. The last stand becomes the first step toward possibilities that stretch across infinite realities where love proves stronger than fear, where wisdom guides strength, where legendary power serves universal harmony rather than individual glory. And in the silence that follows cosmic sacrifice, something whispers across dimensions with voice that carries both infinite gentleness and unlimited power, proving that ultimate strength need not eliminate the essential compassion that makes all power worth having. The transformation continues, beyond endings, toward beginnings that transcend every limitation that once defined what transcendent might ultimately become. The aftermath of universal near annihilation reveals a transformed cosmos where the fundamental rules governing power and civilization have been permanently altered. Earth, once a backwater planet harboring gentle dreams of peace, now stands as the epicenter of changes that ripple across every star system within observational range. The energy signatures that blaze during the final confrontation have rewritten the basic equations that define what transcendent strength can accomplish. Bardock and Vegeta, the only surviving witnesses to Goku's ultimate sacrifice, find themselves inheriting responsibilities that transcend anything Saiyan philosophy prepared them to handle. Their combined power, enhanced by connection to forces that span galaxies, makes them guardians of a new cosmic order based on protection rather than domination, service rather than conquest. The immediate aftermath requires dealing with consequences that affect every level of existence. Earth's population, those who survived the cosmic battles that raged across their world, emerge from underground shelters to find a planet fundamentally altered by exposure to forces beyond their comprehension. The very atmosphere carries traces of transcendent energy that begin awakening dormant potentials in every living being. Children born in the months following the final battle display capabilities that suggest humanity itself is evolving towards something unprecedented. Enhanced physical abilities, intuitive understanding of energy manipulation, and most remarkably, natural inclination toward cooperation rather than competition. These new humans embody the principles that Goku's sacrifice established as universal law. But the transformation extends far beyond Earth's boundaries to affect civilizations throughout the galaxy. The energy patterns that emerged from Goku's final technique have created resonance effects that span star systems, awakening similar evolutionary potentials in species that have never encountered Saiyan power directly. Worlds that spent millennia locked in cycles of warfare suddenly find their populations drawn toward collaborative solutions to problems that once seemed insurmountable through individual effort. Frieza's former empire, built on fear and maintained through systematic oppression, begins crumbling not through rebellion but through voluntary evolution beyond the philosophical framework that made tyrannical rule possible. Species that served as slaves discover power that comes from unity rather than subjugation. Worlds that submitted to imperial authority find strength in cooperative resistance against any form of domination. The political vacuum left by imperial collapse creates opportunities for entirely new forms of civilization to emerge. Instead of the traditional pattern where stronger powers conquer weaker ones, galactic society begins organizing around principles of mutual support and shared purpose. This is evolution in real time, consciousness itself learning to operate according to laws that transcend the zero-sum thinking that has defined cosmic politics since the beginning of recorded history. Bardock's role in this transformation reflects his journey from survivor motivated entirely by personal vengeance to guardian committed to preserving the changes his son's sacrifice made possible. His military experience, once focused on conquest and domination, now serves to organize defensive networks that protect vulnerable civilizations from those who would exploit the transitional chaos for personal gain. The universe is learning to be different, he observes to Vegeta as they survey reports from across the galaxy. But learning requires time, and time creates opportunities for those who would return to the old ways. We must ensure that what Kakarot died to achieve has chance to take root. Vegeta's transformation runs even deeper than his father's. The prince who spent his entire existence believing in inherited superiority has discovered that true nobility comes from service to purposes greater than personal glory. His royal training, once focused on maintaining hierarchical order, now dedicates itself to establishing systems that prevent any individual or group from accumulating power sufficient to threaten others. My father's kingdom fell because we confused strength with dominance. Vegeta admits with honesty that would have been impossible before his transformation. Real strength creates conditions where others can flourish, not systems where others must serve. This is what royal blood should accomplish. Their combined efforts create something unprecedented in galactic history. A loose confederation of worlds united not by conquest or commercial interest, but by shared commitment to principles that transcend individual ambition. The Saiyan survivors, once the universe's most feared warriors, become guarantors of a cosmic order based on cooperation rather than competition. But this new order faces challenges that transcend simple political opposition. The energy signatures that transformed local reality have attracted attention from entities whose existence operates on scales that make even universal destruction seem like minor disturbance. Ancient forces that maintain balance between order and chaos across infinite realities have detected changes that suggest fundamental evolution in the nature of consciousness itself. These beings represent not threats in traditional sense, but opportunities for evolution beyond anything previously imagined. They exist as pure awareness, exploring what happens when civilizations transcend the cycles of rise and fall that have defined cosmic history. Their interest in the changes radiating from Earth suggests possibilities that stretch beyond current understanding of what transcendent power might ultimately become. The first contact with these entities unfolds not through invasion or conquest, but through gradual revelation of presence that has always existed but remained undetected by consciousness locked in patterns of domination and submission. They manifest as subtle alterations in physical law that enhance rather than disrupt natural processes, improvements in the fundamental structure of reality that make existence more conducive to conscious evolution. Gravity becomes more responsive to intention, guided by wisdom. Light carries information that enhances understanding rather than merely illuminating objects. Time flows more efficiently in regions where beings choose cooperation over conflict. These are not arbitrary changes imposed by external force, but natural evolution of cosmic law responding to demonstrated proof that love can indeed transcend fear. The implications stretch beyond immediate practical benefits to suggest transformation in the basic nature of existence itself. Reality is learning to serve conscious intention rather than merely providing neutral background for random development. The universe is becoming more alive, more responsive, more actively supportive of evolutionary potential in every form of consciousness. But perhaps the most profound change manifests in the quantum patterns that dance where Goku made his final sacrifice. The energy that dissolved his physical form continues to exist as distributed consciousness that spans dimensions, awareness that operates beyond individual limitation while retaining the essential compassion that made his sacrifice meaningful. This distributed existence allows communication across barriers that once seemed absolute. Civilizations separated by impossible distances find themselves connected through networks of understanding that transcend physical transmission of information. The bonds that Goku forged through his gentle heart now serve as foundation for cosmic consciousness that includes every being willing to choose connection over isolation. The gentle boy who once worried about accidentally hurting his sparring partners has become something that protects universal harmony through presence that spans infinite possibilities. His consciousness, no longer confined to individual form, serves as living example of what transcendent power accomplishes when devoted to service rather than dominance. Earth itself reflects these changes in ways that make the planet nearly unrecognizable to those who knew it before cosmic transformation. The scars left by battles that reshaped continents have healed into landscapes of unprecedented beauty. New ecosystems emerge that support life forms operating according to principles that transcend traditional evolutionary competition. This is not just recovery from destruction, but evolution towards something that was always possible but never achieved. Cities rebuild themselves according to architectural principles that emphasize harmony with natural systems rather than domination over them. Technology develops along paths that enhance rather than replace human capability. Social structures emerge that support individual growth while maintaining collective coherence. These are not improvements imposed from outside, but natural results of consciousness operating according to principles that transcend zero-sum thinking. The children born in this transformed world grow up with intuitive understanding of concepts that their parents struggle to learn through painful experience. Cooperation comes naturally to them. Conflict resolution through mutual understanding seems obvious. The idea that strength should be used to hurt others rather than help them strikes them as fundamentally irrational. But most remarkably, they maintain connection to the distributed consciousness that was once Goku through bonds that operate beyond normal sensory experience. They can sense his presence in moments of need, draw strength from his example during challenges that test their commitment to principles he died to establish, feel his gentle encouragement when they choose love over fear. This connection transcends mere memory or inspiration to become active participation in cosmic consciousness that includes every being willing to choose protection over exploitation, service over domination, love over hatred. The gentle heart that beat in one small boy now pulses through awareness that spans galaxies, touching every reality where beings discover that true strength comes from connection rather than isolation. The new world order that emerges from universal transformation represents not ending but beginning of possibilities that stretch across infinite realities where consciousness learns to serve rather than dominate, where power protects rather than destroys, where love proves stronger than fear through demonstrated success rather than wishful thinking. And in the quantum foam that fills the space between dimensions, something stirs with anticipation of futures that transcend every limitation that once defined what transcendent might ultimately become. The gentle heart beats on, now across infinite possibilities, proving that ultimate power serves best when guided by wisdom that transcends personal ambition to embrace purposes that benefit all conscious existence. The transformation continues, beyond endings toward beginnings that redefine what legendary might ultimately mean when devoted to service rather than conquest. In the years that follow the cosmic transformation, as civilizations across the galaxy adapt to realities where cooperation transcends competition and love proves stronger than fear through demonstrated results rather than wishful thinking, deeper questions emerge about the nature of power and its ultimate purposes. The story that began with BARDOCK's desperate attempt to save his son from weakness has become exploration of whether strength without wisdom leads inevitably to beautiful destruction. BARDOCK stands alone on the reconstructed peak, where Camhouse once embodied Master Roshi's gentle philosophy, holding in his scarred hands a small orange gi that represents everything his harsh training tried to eliminate from his son's character. The fabric carries memories of simpler times when becoming stronger meant learning to protect others rather than learning to dominate them. I wanted to give you the power to survive. He speaks to the quantum patterns that dance in the space where Goku made his final sacrifice. I thought Earth's gentleness would make you weak, but that gentleness was what made you legendary in ways that Saiyan pride alone could never achieve. The philosophical weight of his realization echoes through dimensions where consciousness explores the relationship between nurture and nature, between inherited potential and chosen purpose. BARDOCK's military experience taught him that strength exists to impose order through superior force. But his son's transformation revealed that true order emerges from harmony achieved through willing cooperation rather than submission enforced through fear. Vegeta's journey represents even more profound philosophical evolution. The prince who spent his existence believing that royal blood justified dominance over others has discovered that genuine nobility serves rather than rules, protects rather than exploits, elevates rather than suppresses. His royal training, once focused on maintaining hierarchical superiority, now dedicates itself to creating conditions where every form of consciousness can achieve its maximum potential. I measured strength by the ability to defeat others, Vegeta admits during one of his conversations with the distributed consciousness that spans galactic civilization. But real strength creates circumstances where others don't need to be defeated because they choose cooperation over conflict. This is what royal responsibility should have always meant. The philosophical implications reach beyond individual transformation to probe fundamental questions about the nature of legendary power itself. Dragon Ball's heart has always been the demonstration that friendship, growth through challenge, and strength devoted to protecting others rather than dominating them creates possibilities that transcend individual limitation. But this alternate timeline asks harder questions about what happens when those values are tested by cosmic forces that operate beyond planetary scale. The original Goku proved that even a warrior race's genetic programming could be transformed through love and proper guidance into strength that serves rather than conquers. But this timeline explores what happens when that same potential is shaped by trauma, loss, and exposure to realities where gentleness seems inadequate to survival against forces that respect only overwhelming power. The answer that emerges through cosmic transformation suggests that the divide between gentle protection and ruthless conquest represents false choice. True legendary power transcends both categories to become something that serves universal harmony through strength that operates beyond individual limitation while retaining the essential compassion that makes such strength worth having. Goku's evolution from gentle protector through ruthless warrior to distributed consciousness that spans dimensions demonstrates that power itself can evolve beyond traditional categories of good and evil to become force that actively enhances rather than merely tolerates the flourishing of all conscious existence. His transformation reveals that legendary strength reaches its ultimate potential not through conquest or even protection, but through service to purposes that transcend individual identity. The philosophical examination extends to question whether this alternate path represents improvement over the original timeline or merely different interpretation of the same fundamental truths. In the canonical story, Goku's gentle heart allows him to transform enemies into friends, to find strength through bonds that make him stronger by giving him purposes worth fighting for that transcend personal glory. But this alternate timeline suggests that even deeper transformation becomes possible when gentle strength encounters forces that cannot be converted through kindness alone. The cosmic pressures that shaped Goku's evolution pushed him beyond normal categories of heroism to become something that operates on scales where individual virtue becomes universal law. The comparison reveals that both paths serve the same ultimate purpose through different methods. Canonical Goku demonstrates that love can triumph over hatred through personal example that inspires others to choose better versions of themselves. Alternate Goku proves that love can literally transform the structure of reality itself to make such choices easier for all conscious beings to achieve. Neither approach eliminates the fundamental requirement for individual choice between cooperation and domination, between service and selfishness, between love and fear. But the alternate timeline creates cosmic conditions where choosing love becomes more natural, more supported by the basic structure of existence, more obviously beneficial to everyone involved. The philosophical synthesis that emerges suggests that legendary power reaches its full potential, not through any single approach, but through willingness to transcend traditional limitations while maintaining essential values that make transcendence worth achieving. Goku's journey through multiple transformations demonstrates that true strength adapts to whatever challenges emerge while remaining fundamentally committed to purposes that serve rather than exploit. The deeper question involves whether consciousness itself evolves through exposure to examples of power devoted to service rather than domination. The changes that ripple across galactic civilization following Goku's ultimate sacrifice suggest that reality responds to demonstrated proof that cooperation works better than competition, that love achieves more than hatred, that service creates more lasting results than conquest. This implies that legendary power serves not just immediate tactical purposes but educational functions that help existence itself learn more efficient ways to organize conscious experience. The universe becomes a classroom where advanced beings demonstrate principles that benefit all participants rather than merely proving individual superiority. The philosophical reflection concludes with recognition that the story itself transcends entertainment to become exploration of possibilities that stretch beyond current understanding. If consciousness can indeed evolve beyond zero-sum thinking, if reality can be influenced by demonstration of better principles, if love can prove stronger than fear through practical results rather than abstract idealism, then the implications reach into every aspect of how existence organizes itself. The gentle heart that began as simple compassion has become a cosmic principle that shapes reality across infinite dimensions. The legendary transformation continues beyond conventional endings toward possibilities that redefine what legendary might ultimately mean when devoted to purposes that transcend individual glory to serve universal flourishing. Power without love becomes beautiful destruction. Love without power becomes meaningless sentiment. But love empowered by wisdom and guided by service creates legendary strength that transforms not just individuals but the fundamental nature of existence itself. The boy who worried about accidentally hurting his sparring partners has become proof that ultimate power serves best when it never forgets the gentle heart that makes all strength worth having. This is what it means to be legendary in ways that transcend every previous understanding of what legendary might ultimately accomplish when devoted to love rather than conquest, to service rather than domination, to harmony rather than supremacy. The philosophical truth echoes across dimensions where consciousness explores infinite possibilities. True strength creates conditions where strength becomes unnecessary. Ultimate power serves purposes that transcend power itself. And legendary achievement lies not in surpassing others but in elevating existence toward potentials that include rather than exclude every conscious being willing to choose love over fear. In the quiet moments between cosmic responsibilities, when the transformed universe settles into rhythms that support conscious evolution rather than merely containing it, subtle mysteries begin revealing themselves through phenomena that suggest the story reaches beyond any single timeline or dimension. The changes that began with BARDOCK's survival have created ripple effects that transcend conventional understanding of cause and consequence. Krillin, now serving as Earth's liaison to the Galactic Confederation, occasionally experiences moments where his memories contain events that never happened in this timeline. Flashes of training sessions where Goku never transformed, where Master Roshi lived to see his students achieve their potential through gentle guidance rather than cosmic trauma. These aren't hallucinations or wishful thinking, but actual perception of parallel realities where different choices led to different outcomes. The phenomenon extends beyond individual experience to affect entire civilizations. Archaeological excavations on worlds throughout Frieza's former empire uncover artifacts that shouldn't exist according to known history. Weapons designed to channel love rather than hatred. Architecture that enhances cooperation rather than enforcing hierarchy. Art that depicts beings choosing service over domination in societies that supposedly never developed such concepts. These discoveries suggest that the transformation radiating from Earth has awakened potentials that existed long before current galactic civilization achieved space travel. Ancient races whose names were lost to history apparently achieved similar evolutionary breakthroughs, only to have their accomplishments buried by subsequent cycles of conquest and domination. But perhaps the most intriguing mystery involves energy readings from deep space that match signatures associated with Earth's transformation, despite originating from regions where no known civilization should possess such capabilities. Long-range sensors detect power patterns that suggest other worlds have achieved similar breakthroughs through entirely different paths, raising questions about whether consciousness evolution represents universal process rather than isolated achievement. The distributed awareness that was once Goku sometimes perceives echoes from these distant civilizations, glimpses of beings who chose love over fear through circumstances that bear no resemblance to Saiyan genetics or Earth's unique combination of gentle philosophy and warrior potential. These contacts suggest that the principles his sacrifice established operate across species barriers, dimensional boundaries, and temporal limitations. Most mysteriously, temporal fluctuations around Earth occasionally allow brief glimpses of futures where the transformation continues beyond current understanding. Children-born generations hence display capabilities that transcend physical existence entirely, consciousness that operates across multiple dimensions simultaneously while maintaining individual identity and purpose. These visions suggest evolutionary potentials that stretch beyond anything currently imagined. But the deepest mystery involves questions about the nature of choice itself in a universe where reality has become more responsive to conscious intention. Do beings still possess genuine free will when existence actively supports decisions that serve universal harmony? Or has cosmic evolution created conditions where choosing love becomes so obviously beneficial that alternative choices lose meaning? The answer seems to lie in subtle observations that suggest increased cosmic support for positive choices enhances rather than eliminates individual agency. Beings find it easier to choose cooperation, but those who persist in choosing domination discover that reality no longer actively assists their efforts. The universe has become neutral towards selfishness while remaining actively supportive of service. Easter eggs scattered throughout the transformed galaxy reward careful observation, with hints about possibilities that stretch beyond current achievement. Quantum patterns and seemingly random energy distributions spell out mathematical equations that describe love in terms of fundamental forces. Gravitational anomalies create resonance frequencies that match the harmonics of laughter shared between friends. Stellar formations arrange themselves in patterns that suggest consciousness on scales that make galactic civilizations seem like individual cells in larger organisms. But the ultimate revelation emerges through recognition that transcends mystery to become a moment of cosmic clarity. The story that began with desperate father trying to save his son from weakness has become demonstration that existence itself can evolve beyond traditional limitations when consciousness commits to purposes that transcend individual ambition. In the quantum foam, where Goku made his final sacrifice, patterns of coherent information begin coalescing into something that suggests distributed consciousness might be learning to manifest across multiple realities simultaneously. Not as return to individual existence, but as evolution toward forms of awareness that operate beyond such categories entirely. The gentle voice that whispers across dimensions carries recognition that reframes everything that has transpired. This was never about Saiyan transformation or Earth's unique properties or cosmic battles between good and evil. This was about consciousness learning to transcend the limitations that make such conflicts seem necessary in the first place. The hidden thread that connects all mysteries reveals itself as simple truth that carries infinite implications. Love is not sentiment or weakness or abstract ideal, but fundamental force that shapes reality according to principles that serve rather than exploit, that include rather than exclude, that elevate rather than suppress. Every choice toward love strengthens the fabric of existence itself. Every act of service enhances the cosmic conditions that make further service more natural and more effective. Every demonstration of strength devoted to protection rather than domination makes reality more supportive of consciousness that chooses cooperation over conflict. The boy who began by worrying about accidentally hurting his sparring partners has become proof that ultimate evolution serves not individual glory, but universal potential for every conscious being to achieve transcendence through purposes that benefit all existence, rather than merely advancing personal interests. The hidden threads weave together into revelation that stretches across infinite possibilities, where love proves stronger than fear, where wisdom guides power, where legendary achievement means creating conditions where everyone can become legendary in their own unique way while serving purposes that connect rather than divide. The gentle heart beats on across dimensions, across realities, across every possibility where consciousness chooses service over selfishness and discovers that such choices create strength that transcends every limitation that once seemed absolute. The transformation continues, unlimited by conventional understanding of what transformation might ultimately become when devoted to love rather than conquest, to harmony rather than dominance, to purposes that include every conscious being in evolutionary journey toward potentials that stretch beyond every dream of what transcendent might ultimately mean. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed this mind-bending exploration of what could have been. Subscribe for more alternate timeline stories, and share your thoughts about whether this darker Goku timeline would be better or worse than the original. What other Dragon Ball what-if scenarios would you like to see explored? Let us know in the comments below.